Good fun. All right, folks, we're on the air. Welcome back to This Week in Search or SEO Friday Dojo chat. I don't know. We're not even sure what we're calling it anymore, but we're just here talking shit. So I guess let's go through everyone, say hello, tell everyone who you are. Go with left to right. So Mr. Josh, say hello to everyone who you are and what you've been up to.
Hello, folks. My name is Josh Bashinsky. I've been doing SEO for on and off for about 20 years, and I run a testing group where we try to, as scientifically as possible, test the search results. So I just wanted to join today and see what you guys are talking about.
Not even sure, dude. It's kind of a relaxed, chilled out day, but I got a few things I want to get into. Carl, say hello. Give everyone your lowdown.
Hey, Carl Hindle, run Wall Street Search, based out of Frederick, Maryland now. It's my new office. Yay. I've been in SEO for about 15, 16 years, something like that.
Not bad, man. You've been under the radar, apparently. Kevin
Dory. I'm in Dallas in my current office with my little toys behind me. I do local SEO, automotive SEO for Dealer On. Been doing it for, 12 years now, maybe 13.
Yeah, I'm sure your boss obviously doesn't watch this show because, oh God, it's like, oh God, no.
No. I used to say like 10 years, and I'm like, no, actually it's 12. Maybe it's 13. I don't know. I can't remember.
Does that mean you have tenure? Oh, okay. Terry Van Horn, sir.
I do shit.
I don't like it. I'm going with that from now on. When I do my SEM Rush webinar next week, hi, my name is Dave. I do shit. That's gonna work. Doc.
Doc Sheldon, Intrinsic Value SEO and Search News Central. I've been playing this game for a little over 15 years, and I do shit too.
Excellent. Canadian Steve.
Steve Bowen, Harris Web Creative. I've been doing SEO for probably only about three to 4 years. And
really? So you've been like with us the whole time, or what?
Yep.
I think you've been with us at least 3 years now. So
yeah. I met you guys on Google Plus, and I figured you guys.
That's a way to accelerate your career, huh? Right into the deep end, into the fire. Why fuck around, you know?
Yeah, and I still build things, and I'm actually building 2 sites this week, so that's cool. Or this month, because it takes me a month to build things. So.
Christ, only 2?
Only 2. Only 2. I charge a lot, Terry. I'm not cheap like you.
I think I'm on my 4th one.
Yeah,
and of course,
it takes me 30 to 60 days to build a website properly.
And Mr. Plunkett, of course. How are you, sir? How you been, buddy?
You've been busy doing SEO, having SEO conversations, teaching SEO things.
That's it, man. That's kind of my life. You know what I mean? When I get talking with people, I always tell them SEO is not what I do. It's what I am. There's nothing else.
And Steve's not breaking anything right now?
Oh, he's always breaking something, man. Don't even start.
Oh, yeah. I broke Google last night for fun.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't break clients' web pages anymore.
I mean, more than you used to.
Yeah,
I'm liking the beard, Steve. You're starting to look like Steve Garanser now. You got that thing's filling out pretty good there, man.
Yeah. Well, I figured I'd let it grow till Christmas and see if I look like Santa Claus or anything. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna let it grow till Christmas and see what happens.
All right. So I was gonna start here with something that you know, and it's usually something we do mess with poor Barry Schwartz a lot because you know we constantly seems to be in need of things to talk about, I guess. I don't know. So the latest was this spooky or Halloween update or what the fuck ever. and you know, so okay, great. And, you know, and he's in the Dojo Facebook group, and I still just as honest there. And I go, all right, people, what's going on? Anyone seeing anything? And generally I don't see much. Which, you know, so I don't know, like, you know, Black Hat World and Webmaster World, people are yipping, but I guess we always come back to the fact that 4 people say something does not a change make. And he does all those weather report fucking things and whatever. But me and well, Terry used to bring this up a lot over the last 10 years. And so I started looking around yesterday just to see if anything was going on. And, well, sure enough, some things had gone up. But then I started checking some competitors, and over a lot of the same query spaces, they had gone up too. So, Terry, are you still with us, bud, or did you wander off or have a joint?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, so Terry, you know what I was so then I had a meeting with my client, and I was talking to her, and I said, I was gonna pat myself on the back, but then I realized we're like a week out from Black Friday and then Christmas, and so transactional queries do tend to get a little bit of a bump at this time of year. Google's been infamous for it, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know, it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, Terry, when they got in shit for doing a big update around Christmas. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if anyone's really paying attention, because I told my client, I said, don't get excited now, because come January, it could all go back to where it was. So, there's every chance that I don't think anyone's really mentioned it yet, but I think there's just almost every chance in the world that this is just that sort of thing where you've got like a quasi query space. It's not like, buy a jewelry safe or whatever. It's just a, jewelry safe, or so there could be informational, there could be transactional, those kind of things in there. I think what's I'm guessing that might be happening is that the transactional stuff is getting a bit of a lift right now because of the season. So I don't know.
Also, remember that transactional searches this time of year are getting clicked more. So
right. No, but I mean just even ranking, like tracking the rankings and shit like that. Like not even traffic wise, but
just
I think you brought up a good point in my mind is, the stupid SEO industry through Barry and others tend to shit themselves whenever they see some sort of blip on the radar without thinking about the logic.
Well,
I know,
also
that's crazy talk.
Yeah, but look at the forums he goes to get his information from. I mean, if anyone's going to get hit by a negative algorithm change, it'll be those guys. They'll be hit more than anyone, because they're the ones pushing the envelope.
So yeah, but even Webmaster World or anything like that. And I even read the comments on the thread, and there's people talking. But again, we do see this every year, like around this time of year, that transactional stuff does tend to get a bit of a lift over the next month and a half or so, and then settles back in January. So, I'm not sure if it's anything.
Yeah,
I'd like to say it's because I'm great at my job. But
you start to see this change happening about mid-October, and as you get closer to Black Friday, the higher it gets.
Well, yeah, because it's almost like a tweak to Hummingbird, because part of Hummingbird we saw was the query classifications of, injecting more informational query results into various quasi sort of query spaces to balance it out, because obviously the transactional results are people putting money into it with SEO, whereas an informational one isn't gonna. So that was a lot of the correction they tried to do with the classifications with Hummingbird. So it almost like they kind of turned down the dial this time of year and let the bubble up the transactional stuff, the commercial stuff, So I don't know. I just started thinking about it, I'm not getting excited yet. I mean, it's fine for my clients, they moved up to 4 or 5 spots each, but I got a feeling that'll all work itself back out in January. So
do you guys have a lot of black hat clients or mostly white hat?
No, all white hat for me, man. So I wouldn't know about anything on the dodgy side, what would be happening. Like, so I'm just talking on a perspective of what I'm seeing in the white space. So.
I have plenty of students in my mentorship group or white hat clients that are really white hat or trying to be, but they do seem to get hit by these occasional multifarious updates that Google seems to be running every week.
Then they're not really white hats, are they?
Well, no. There's other things involved too, though, Terry. Like, I mean, again, Josh, I can't speak to that for the reason that I'd say almost all of my clients, because, the fact I'm lazy. No. They're all very, entrenched as far as, authority and stuff like that goes. Right. So they don't really get that flux as much. But I could see it with people that are like less authority and trust in Google. They could be bouncing around a bit more for sure. Yeah.
And when you guys are talking black hat authority and trust, we're talking about spammy links, or we're talking about?
No, just in general, like, authority. Like, if I'm working on like Auto Trader or something, you don't have to do much to move the needle.
Right.
Or like I've got another guy down in California. He's like, runs the fucking gamut on. He's the #1 guy in his industry. So again, like with that kind of trust, authority, and history, it's easy to move the needle. So I'm just lazy in my old age. I take clients that are already winning.
Right. Well, I call that smart, is what I call that. But yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm curious, these updates that have been going on, what you guys think are the culprit. I know I have my suspicions, and I'd be happy to tell you if you want to know.
It depends on it. Like the August one, dude, definitely was something around the EAT stuff, the expertise, authority, trust, whatever, in your money or your life or whatever. The August one was one I saw a lot. Like, because again, I don't just track my clients, I track all their competitors and so on and so on, right?
Of course, yeah.
Even if they rule the roost, I want to know who's climbing up our ass and so on. So yeah, I saw a lot of movement amongst the mid or second tier people in a couple of industries, and one of the more common things I noticed was really fully fledged, contact details, terms of service, and all these kind of things with authority and trust. More fully fledged, YouTube channels, even like that they were importing to the site with how-tos and so on and so on. More evergreen kind of content, things of that nature. So some of the people I saw moving that weren't my clients back in that August one, that one I saw a lot. Like there was shit reshuffling. Like a few people showed up out of nowhere. Like, a couple of my clients, competitors, like the people I was tracking, literally there was people that were on page 2 or 3 that popped up on the page 1 out of nowhere with that one. So
yeah, in August, I've spent probably over 15 hours looking at that, different aspects of that. And the money in your life and EAT stuff is all correct, but it's all about implementation. Even if you don't think you're going to be affected, you can be affected if it's not implemented correctly and there are no credentials backing up the writers. I looked at the
which is the same thing, because even my client Terry, I went back and started linking up their LinkedIn accounts and some other various authority elements into their blog profiles on their site and stuff, and yeah, it definitely seemed to help. And I did a fair bit of work around that stuff, and it did seem to have a little bit of a kick post August. So.
Yeah, I think now when you post any kind of guest post, you want to have a link to your LinkedIn page, especially if you have any kind of credibility. And
well, that was the creator thing too. The content creator became a new thing in this year's Google Raters Guide.
Yeah,
that was one of the things they added was the content creator stuff. So
yeah,
that's
and when you look closely at the sister sites that did good and did poorly, you can see direct correlation between the way that site had made the accreditation, etc., of the writers, right? Easily found. So if you had a site that had both a byline and an author's thing at the end of the page that linked to a longer list of a author's biography, that definitely did better. If you started looking at e-commerce sites, most of the ones that got nicked were doing reviews that weren't from third-party sources. They were internal, and the ones from third-party that did well showed that the people that had reviewed, that had purchased a product, etc., i.e. the more transparent you are about the people that are creating content, the more Google likes it. And that seemed to be the real differences in between whether you're good or bad. And if you look at the 2 diabetes sites, there's a real correlation there where you see one is all people that are in university and doctors and that sort of thing. And then you got the second site, which did poorly, and those people were all afflicted with the disease, right? But they weren't authorities on it, and they were writing like they were. And that site got hit really badly. So
what kind of stuff were you peeking at there, Josh?
Well, a lot of the same stuff. I have kind of a hate on for anything the general industry talks about. So as soon as you start saying eat, I start freaking out. But I have to admit, I did some actual single variable testing in this regard.
I
And
was
you
gonna
would be,
say it's not really the terminology. It's like, you know, we use them because it's the
oh, of
easiest
course,
way to
yeah,
try
no,
to
I
explain
get
it
it.
to
Yeah,
other
everyone.
people. You know what I mean?
That's why I had to ask what you guys meant when you said this. Every SEO group has different, meanings for
Yeah,
the stuff. But
yeah, taxonomies.
yeah, of course. I started testing that stuff because I thought, okay, come on, like really, like Google, you want someone who we're going back to the author markup essentially is what we're doing.
Yeah,
And I checked.
in a sense, I guess that's what it is. They call it content creator now, but yeah.
Yeah, and I checked, and lo and behold, my single variable tests confirm a lot of these hypotheses you guys are having.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah,
started realizing, wow, I can black hat the shit out of this. Is what I started realizing.
well, for sure, if you really wanted to, and you put something together that they could, make a persona look like an authority on something, I
Right.
think it's totally doable. I don't see why not.
Right.
I think it's harder to do if they aren't really.
Because
Yeah, but Google algorithmically Google can't figure that out, and depending on how crowded a space
I'm
is,
sure they can. They can see on a page that a doctor is on a hospital website. They can see that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh, for sure.
That's
Yeah.
how the LinkedIn pages are helping.
Yeah, but again, I don't think I am not a believer in that it was a health update, because I think that's just bullshit.
I agree
It's more of a your money or your life thing. So it could be any kind of high end purchase or purchases, of a nature that's like 5-10 grand or more. Or health is great, but I think it's more of expertise, authority, trust. Like we're talking about, it's more of that, and your money or your life means your money. Like I actually read through it a few times through the Raiders Guide, and your money or your life doesn't. The money part doesn't necessarily mean you're buying a house or a car. You know what I mean? That's not how they define it. They actually define it by any kind of large scale purchase, meaning like
anytime money changes hands.
Or,
they said in one version.
Yeah, so it's not as much as people. I've heard people try and talk about the money part, and they're like talking houses and cars. I'm like, nah, read it again. It's no. You know what I mean?
If you want to go down to the lowest level, it could be any site. Anytime money changes hands, period, is a YMYL site.
Yeah. And that's what I reread it a few times to make sure, because a few people were trying to intimate that it was higher end purchases, and I didn't get that from it. So
to fully answer your question, David, what I really thought is I call these updates relevance updates for two reasons. One, John Mueller calls them relevance updates. Two, I really think it has a lot more to do with, believe it or not, keywords on the page. AKA relevance to a certain query.
No, I believe that. Again,
and the loop of user clicks to it.
Yeah, again, I'm not an implicit user feedback guy, and that's all your click data and stuff like that, because there's a whole bunch of.
Dude, you got to see some of my tests.
I appreciate that, but no,
you got to see some of my tests, man.
Yeah, but again, I would still be able to defeat your hypothesis in the sense that where they would use stuff like that is on tweaking their own algorithms, meaning you use your implicit user feedback to go and test against algorithms you've developed to say, okay, is this algorithm working? Right? Okay, well, no, the implicit user feedback is showing us that no, it's not. You know what I mean? The click through, the time on page, the dwell time, all this stuff. It's low on these, so fine. What do we then go back and tweak the algorithm? Then come back and look at your user feedback. Then come back here, right? Yeah. So that's going to show you that same thing in your testing, because pages that accomplish that are what they're tweaking algorithms to find, but not directly using that data to rank things. You know what I'm saying? So that's how they.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, that's the standard.
Me and Matt Cutts used to have many a conversation about that fucking topic, man.
Yeah. That's the standard Google position. I understand what you're saying.
And it makes not just Google though, like even like various papers Bill Slawski and I'll read where they test this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Right. And the issue is always, you know what I mean, is it's what's called noisy, meaning the data is not clear and obviously spammable. So again, like just because you do a test as an SEO that shows that the top ranking pages satisfy these things, that doesn't mean they're using this data to rank that. That means they're using this data to tweak the algorithms to find the right pages.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? No, fair enough. That makes most sense. And the most information retrieval people tend to go on that approach. Again, none of us actually know, but, you know.
Yeah, that's true. None of us do actually know. I don't know how much I want to argue that point because I'm going to start telling you all the secrets that people pay me money to get. So,
Oh yeah, no, it's an endless.
so there's only so much I could say.
It's an endless argument, and again, none of us work at Google.
True.
So
true,
as long as whatever tests you're doing are increasing profits for your client,
all I'll say is that if
days.
any of my brothers here on the Hangout want more information about that, hit me up because I think I'm a pretty smart guy, and I think I've found a way to do testing that is not so debatable, and I'd love to show you what I'm doing if you're interested.
Right.
But
yeah, anytime, man. Anytime,
but I didn't come on here to tell you all my test results or brag about me or anything. I want to know what you guys kind of think what's going on, because I don't.
Yeah, again, like, and some of this stuff recently, like, you know, again, these sort of flux things, and like, I gotta say that the August one was the only sort of actionable one I've played with. You know, I mean, some of the more recent stuff, I think it's just usual tweaks and this and that, and sometimes because, you know, I mean, if Bill was here, whatever, we could go on all fucking day about how many times we've seen algorithms that operate on different queries, that operate in different query types. That, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, you know, that always becomes the risk is that, you know, SEO types go out and say, well, do this. Well, no, because you might be in this industry or this market or this niche or whatever.
Yeah.
And you gotta be intimate enough to know what's going to work in each of them and be able to analyze
differences in the sale or the search funnel.
Sure, you know, you're selling diapers or or if you're in payday loans, two different sets, you know what I mean?
Two completely.
The algos are doing different things in those spaces. Like we've even seen patents where in papers where Google will use a separate set of scoring and ranking mechanisms beyond the top 20. So meaning once you get into the top 20, that's the danger zone for Google where they can fuck up. That like this is where people are going to complain. Whereas from 20 to 100, there's a more relaxed threshold. Yeah, there's a more relaxed threshold. And they've literally got papers and patents on that. Whereas, you know, I mean, there's secondary crawlers that will go over those top 20 results with what you would probably call a fine-tooth comb, as opposed to 30 to 100, right? And so that always becomes that rabbit hole that SEOs get into that, here, just do this and it'll work. Well, no, it depends on the market, the niche, the query space, you know, positioning even. Temporality, right? You got query deserves freshness, yada, yada, yada. So,
I
mean, there's just
just to go back, sorry, David, just to go back, when I mentioned keywords, I saw a couple of you guys kind of shaking your head. Let me just say one thing. Check out Ted Kubitis' software, Cora. It is unbelievably good at tracking Google changes for on-page factors. And again, I'm not here to sell Cora to you, but email Ted.
Way too fucking expensive. I appreciate the work he does, but it's just not worth the money.
Well, email Ted and see if he'll give you a free demo account for a while or something, and just check it out. Because ever since April 16th, I have seen keywords correlating by factors of 100 every month, more and more and more.
And that's funny you mentioned that, because that is the other big one a lot of people talk about was the April one. So,
April, yes. It's since April that the shit's hit the fan and everything's gone nuts.
Yeah,
it's
April
like they totally changed. It's like a complete rewrite.
Yeah, April and August are the only two worth talking about in 2018 for me.
Yes. Yeah.
I agree.
I agree totally. Okay, guys, thanks very much. Sorry to hog the conversation, but I got to run to a client conversation.
When do you think? Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, man.
Wednesday? All right.
No, it's Thursday at 1 p.m. now Pacific. So yeah, you guys are welcome on anytime.
Yeah, just hit me up like Wednesday and send me a reminder, like poke me on Facebook or where the fuck ever, and I'll because I've been promising to show up for you, so I'll definitely make it next week.
Sure. Yeah. No, all you guys are welcome for sure.
All right, man.
So come on and check it out.
All right, brother.
All right, catch you later.
Well, there you go. All right, moving along. Okay, what is Steve doing? Okay, what are you doing, Steve? Oh, Corey's checking. Okay. Yeah, you know, I got a few, you know, I have one aversion to that software because they use the term LSI in one of the reports. And the second is that it's rather expensive. So I've heard some good things about it, but I don't entirely trust the people that have sung its praises, unfortunately.
I've heard some good stuff about it, but Jesus, you got to take out a second mortgage to afford it.
Well, that's it. It's like $250 a month or some fucking thing.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, exactly, Terry. Yeah, I don't need it that fucking much.
Right. Well, all the suckers will line up.
And as soon as I saw the LSI report someone was sharing, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm out now. Yeah, we can't be doing that. All right, so there you go.
Dave,
Again, did anybody else? Go ahead.
you're always down on LSI. So explain to me what the difference is between LSI.
It's this. It really is this simple, Steve. If the person in question, I don't care if it's a software, a blog post, or somebody in a group, or wherever I'm talking to people, if they just use the term semantic analysis, I'm good, because that's what they're literally talking about. But as soon as they spew that term or that initialism, that shows me they're ignorant and they're stupid. So if you're flawed in your thinking in this one little part, how can I trust the rest of what you're doing? I mean, so I'm sorry. Like, all I have to say is semantic analysis. Is, Doc was joking about, he ran into one of my articles on his website, searchnewscentral.com, people, where I was going off about Moz when they had their LDA tool, which is latent Dietrich analysis, which is just another form of semantic analysis. But they just latched onto the LDA term and called their tool that, and off they ran. And it's, again, Google's not using any one form of semantic analysis. If anything, they're probably using phrase-based because, you know what I mean, they invested so much time and money into Anna Patterson and her shit that makes the most sense. But as Doc and I know, these days they're moved on to, like, vector shit. So I just get irritated, Steve, that to me, it's a red flag of ignorance. Like, as soon as somebody mentions LSI, it means you have no clue what you're fucking talking about. Have a nice day. Go away.
Well, the other aspect too, Steve, is that both LSI and LDA, they're good workable technologies on a small data set. Okay, yeah. But as the data set grows, they just won't scale.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah. Also, there's the history.
I actually got caught with this because I was stupid enough to put a comment on one of Bill Slarsky's posts. Why can't LSI work? It's like, right, okay. When you throw some meat in the piranha-infested pond.
Yeah, you're chumming the water, buddy.
Yeah, but Doc's right. I actually, because I got into it, and I actually reached out to Susan Demes, who was one of the patent holders for LSI, just to try to get some feedback from her. She was kind enough to send an email back on that. Doc's absolutely right. Up to about 100, 200, 300,000 documents.
Right. So if you were developing a search technology for, say, an intranet at a medium-sized corporation, totally would work. No problem, because you only have enough records there that it's not going to start to break down. But you get to the size of Google and stuff, it doesn't really work.
Also, the history of LSI in the SEO industry.
Well, yeah, the history came from fucking applied semantics.
Or anyone who talks about it.
So doesn't vector analysis come out of LSI?
No,
not at all.
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
LSI is actually for database.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between the Newtonian universe and Euclidean geometry. Latent semantic indexing. You can measure out a straight line in a field, but we're actually on the globe.
Right. And the reason it got into the lexicon was literally in 2003 when Google picked up a company called Applied Semantics. And they were, at the time, in 2003, were using LSI. Now, the funny part was that most people don't know their history, is that the reason they picked up this company, Applied Semantics, in 2003, and the press release is still online, was for this technology, for this application they had called AdSense. So we all know what AdSense became, so it had nothing really to do with the organic search results in the first place. But that's how it got into the lexicon and never left. So
yeah, but Dan Thies and Leslie Rhodes.
Oh, well, Leslie mostly, but yeah.
They were the ones who brought it into the SEO lexicon. And then a few years later, they realized how stupid that was, and they recanted on that.
Well, yeah, because I was just vicious. I was constantly chasing Leslie around everywhere he went.
So people use it now because they are looking to make new terms, and so
they just want to
that's usable. So they just use something else that was
buzzword.
And that's it, Steve. I think
inbound marketing is another.
Steve Bannon, I think that's my main beef with it. Is it's just to me, it's a red flag of someone trying to sound smart that isn't.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because if they actually had a brain, they would know all this stuff. So as soon as someone spews that, it's a red flag going, idiot over here using a term to sell my projects to clients and look fucking smart. It's like, you know, no, not
Parrots and posers.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
So yeah, you know, I mean, it's like even the rank brain stuff. You know, Doc and I sat down because we have to do this webinar with SCM Resh next week on rank brain. You know what I mean? And I've already warned the people that invited us on that, you know, we're not going to come on there and sing the rank brain song. We're going to come on there and bust it into little pieces and throw it in the garbage. Because, you know, even we started looking at that. Like, it was interesting because Doc and I dug into it more than I had in a while. And it comes out of the Google Brain Project. And essentially what happened was the Google Brain Project, which was Jeffrey Dean, Greg Corrado, and some others that started that. They basically created this sort of neural network artificial intelligence approach. And then they gave it to all the teams, you know, local, to the maps, to the AdWords, to the search quality, which is the organic stuff. They gave it to everyone and said, here, go mess around with this algorithm, see what you can come up with. They gave
basically some internal beta testing.
Yeah, they gave them free reign to go and use this, to go and muck about with whatever job they did at Google. Take these algorithms, go muck about with it and see what you come up with. And unfortunately, Greg Corrado, who was part of the Google Brain Project, used it for the organic results. And so his flavor of that, he called Rank Brain. He did one freaking interview, and it blew up 2 years ago, and people keep talking about it. Now, it's nothing to do with anything, really. It's very little, and then some idiot decided to say it was the third most important ranking factor. Thank you for that. But at the end of the day, it's nothing you optimize for. It's not about that. It's not how it works. You know what I mean? It is about vectors. It's about understanding correlate. Like I tried to explain to my son the other day, and it's like you put in the word apple and black, you get a very distant vector correlation. You know, you put in the word apple and red or apple and green, you have a closer word vector correlation. So it's kind of more about those kind of things. And that's why they've always said that it's about unknown queries. And I'm sure at some point it'll start to work itself into other stuff. But at the end of the day, you don't optimize for it. It's not like links. It's not like title tags. It's not, you know, you just don't. You're better off reading the Google Raiders Guide if you're looking for hints. You know?
Isn't it more about the way they put a SERP together?
I would say, Terry, it's kind of like, and again, all he's done is taken the, like TensorFlow is another good thing to look at. TensorFlow is a little piece and parcel to the Google Brain Project. But he's kind of using it for if anything, for faster processing, right? So the vectors to be able to process less processing, because every little bit of processing costs money, because your Google data centers use electricity. It's cost you money on your cooling systems and so on and so on. So the less process you're doing, that's in the terms of Google, that's millions of dollars a year you can save by using an approach like that, right?
Oh,
so yeah,
I thought Rank Brain was re-ranking certain sites.
Well, technically, technically not the site itself. Technically, it is re-ranking, yes, because it's understanding queries better to pull more relevant results. So it's I would think, Terry, I would think of it more of an extension on Hummingbird, if anything, meaning query classifications. It's understanding queries better, so it's more of a query classification engine than anything.
Yeah, but I think the important thing to remember about it is that it happens at query time, and it can be affected by the user. For instance, I always thought that when Google inserts into a SERP a page or a result that is from someone that I follow on Google Plus, that's Rank Brain at work.
No, I don't. No, I can't.
What's doing that at query time then?
Yeah, that's probably more personalization. Which has been
let me take a stab at that, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, Rank Brain is looking only at the query, and it's getting any ranking information of the page from other algorithms. Okay, It's just looking at the queries and trying to interpret what the query is really looking for, and then match it with input it's receiving from the other page ranking algorithms.
Yeah,
but it doesn't even look at the page.
That is entirely correct, Terry. Yeah, so what it's like he's saying, it's giving better input to the rest of the scoring, ranking, and other elements that algorithms that are naturally already running in the system. So yeah, it's just better input. It's refining the input, let's say. You know what I mean, like, to the rest of the ranking and scoring elements, and returning from.
Let me ask a question. So if someone punched in Apple Scarlet, it's going to return results for Apple Red, because it's going to change the Scarlet to red.
Not necessarily. No. It's going to look and see what other relevant vectors Scarlet might mean. Meaning, is there a movie? Is there, Scarlet, in the movie Gone with the Wind was wearing a red dress or something, or was picking apples or something. It's looking for what vectors Scarlet and Apple, how close they are to each other and what that might mean. I mean, it's not quite semantic analysis, but it works a lot like semantic analysis. It does a lot of the same things, but it's actually looking for vectors that, like, we had this tool that Doc and I played with back when this came out that was really neat. It would show you all the vectors you could put in 2 different words and shit. It would show you how they relate in vectors and the distance. So it's a distance of vectors, and based upon the distance of those vectors, it's using artificial intelligence to understand what is the most likely meaning of that term. Again, that's why they said that they originally used it on unknown queries. So, September 10th, 2001, you could put in the World Trade Center. It'd mean one thing. September 11th, a new event happened. So there was queries coming in that didn't exist the day before. Okay, so that could be sports. It could be anything right now, right? There was a shooting the other day, like down in the States, right? Same idea. It's almost like the QDF thing. Like, every day of our lives, if it's a new product, if it's a new situation, if it's something new in the news or whatever, every day there are new queries Google hasn't had because they didn't exist before today, right? It could be an Apple 6 or, well, I don't do Apple, but, something could have launched. So every day Google's getting new queries based upon the world evolving that didn't exist the day before. And so they were looking for a way to figure this out. How do they deal with these new queries and make sense of them? And that's part of why they said that it was used for unknown queries. It's probably now, or if not now at some point, going to be more of the core algorithm. But at the time when they first implemented it, that's what the idea was, was dealing with that kind of shit. So,
the other thing to think about in terms of vectors, Steve, is that there's 2 aspects of comparing the word vectors. One is the angle, okay? When they're plotted on an XY graph, for instance, if the angle is more similar between these 2 terms than it is between one of them and a third term, then there's more similarity between the terms. But it's also the distance. They could be perfectly parallel. But for instance, Apple might be perfectly parallel or nearly parallel with the term computer and with the term fruit. But the distance between those two vectors, even if they're parallel, might be vastly different. So that's the 2 different aspects that come into play. So the beauty of the vector model is that the larger the database, the higher the accuracy.
Yeah.
So the vectors are plotted between entities?
No, it's words in general.
Terms. Or phrases or paragraphs.
Take out your stop words and stuff like that. That gets more into the semantic analysis, but actual words, you know what I mean? Like lamp, lamp and light bulb are really close vectors, right? Lamp and couch, slightly different. Lamp and tree, very different, right? So it's that distance between 2 word vectors that they're trying to look at a query and understand why they're in there.
And tree is closer to grass and forest than it is to lamp.
Sure, yard or house or right.
Hey, Dave, do you think that's how they're doing disambiguation as well? That seems to be one method that would be
probable.
And again, so now you can add on stuff like a search task, because what did they search for before this, and so on and so on. You can put in personalization, what are they commonly looking for? Like, you know, I mean, maple leafs, if I put that into Google right now when I'm logged in, it's going to show me the hockey team, not a tree. So that's totally different, right? But, you know, maple leaf and score. Maple leaf and score are two vectors here, and then maple leaf and trimming would go back to, you know, arbory kind of stuff and so on and so on. It's looking at these vectors compared to the words that are in a query, as opposed to like a phrase-based approach. Well, we've even seen that actually, Doc, because there's word to vec, there's phrase to vec, and there's paragraph to vec.
Yep. Yep.
So they actually have 3 different methods of looking at vectors, and one word to vec was the original, not just using words and vectors, but they actually expanded that to have phrase to vectors, meaning phrases compared to other phrases in a vector format, and they expanded that to what Doc found, because I wrote about the first 2, but apparently even paragraphs from one to another, which I could see eventually, important, like especially like a news site or something where you've got a homepage of CNN and you got a paragraph about this under sports and then politics and this kind of like the page segmentation stuff, Terry, that we used to look at.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of like that kind of an element, but
and at some point, you could go to a document vector basically, where it can. That's how it can very nicely determine what's the overriding context of this paragraph or this document, because it boils everything down to mathematical entities that can be calculated super fast with a high degree of accuracy.
And like you said, the more documents they look at, the more efficient the algorithm becomes. So yeah, at the end of the day, Steve, it really comes down to computing power and efficiency of computing power, right? So every cycle, like I remember I used to talk to Matt about meetings he'd have, and they hand out cycles. You know, there's only so much computing power at Google. It's like, how much does the web spam team get? How much does Google Maps get when that was a thing, and so on and so on. Like everybody would get so much computing power called cycles. And this helps lessen that load. So again, when you lessen that load on the computing, that uses less electricity, that uses less cooling systems, and so on and so on. So this can literally save millions of dollars a year for them by being more efficient. Because I don't think Google can get much faster than, you know, whatever 0.1 seconds it takes them to get back a result. So this is more about the computing power of the servers themselves, which is, I think, what a lot of people missed with it. Is again, you go back to TensorFlow, or you go back to the Google Brain project and all the stuff that kind of gave birth to Rank Brain. It's often more about using the neural networks and the vectors to be more efficient computing wise, you know, is more than it is about search quality and crap like that, you know, which would be ranking and scoring, you know. So yeah, that's basically what Doc and I are going to go. Well, that's it, Doc. We'll just take this recording and put it on air for us next week.
Hey, you got the editing software. Go for it.
So when you're doing SEO, how do you, or no, let's say when you're doing writing, how?
Nothing different than we've been doing it, just right naturally. Because that's been the case for at least 5 to 10 years anyways. Like, you know what I mean? It's writing naturally. Like I used to people like, well, I have to give my keywords to my content writer and all this and that. It's like, no, just let them write naturally and it'll come out in the wash. It'll all work itself out. That's micromanaging a writer, if anything, is going to end up with less relevancy because you're overusing words or structuring around terms and phrases when you shouldn't be.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Doc, you saying that you don't hand your keywords, maybe one keyword to your writer and you let them write naturally, and then you go in and you put in your headers, your H1, your H2,
right
after the fact. And
sure, and look for correlating phrases that might not exist in the piece.
The biggest thing that I'm looking for when I get something from one of my writers to edit is focus, context. You know, is this thing wandering? Is it laying something out that A, is very readable for users, and B, is going to be clearly about a particular topic for search engines? You know, marking up the metadata is entirely separate, you know, a necessary thing, but really, and this is where the vectors again come into play, because like Steve just dropped his hashtag maths in there. That's what it's all about. Boiling these things down to vectors allows these computer programs to very rapidly compare, average, look for the mean, look for the predominant context of a paragraph or a page.
Right.
So when you wander around, if you're talking about, keeping squirrels out of your attic, and then you mention your grandmother's applesauce, you're just confusing the issue, both for readers and for search engines.
Yeah, I remember Anne saying she had trouble with writers that wrote in allegory to get them to stop doing that because it muddies the water.
Yeah, because
again, like rank brain isn't like that's already existed. You know what I mean?
Oh, did we lose Dave?
I think we did.
Uh-oh.
We froze.
Oh, there he is. Are you there, Dave?
Uh-oh.
Quick, let's talk about local. Dave's on pause. Let's talk about
Well,
local.
Dave's on pause. Let me jump in on something and throw something at you. When we were talking about a lamp and a light bulb, we're talking about a subset of one thing or the other. So that could automatically be the intent vector that somebody's looking for parts. When we talked about a lamp and a couch, that's a lamp vector of somebody that's looking at furniture because they're along the common vectors. The vectors, or the distance between the vectors and the vectors themselves, can also be looked at intent streams. Wouldn't you agree, Doc?
Absolutely.
Them is and then the distance between them also is search volume 9 times out of 10. Because if something is, if I put in Apple and I get pictures of a phone, it gives more people search for phones. If I put in Apple and I get, how can I buy a bushel of fruit at Walmart, and get it delivered to my house? That's a different, you understand what I'm saying? So then your intent vector that's what develops the search results. Now, once we have a bunch of commonality to all the different things popping through, the different types of query types, then we're going to at some point have a pattern. The pattern that we're talking about for rank brain and everything is the listing of these patterns saying, okay, someone puts in Lincoln. All right, are they looking for a car? Are they looking for an SUV? Are they looking for the information on the president? Are they talking about Nebraska? So I think the query vectors, what the intent is, and then again, the distance between those is the ones closer toward the center are the ones that have a lot of volume. The ones that are spread out are the ones that people may not want, but I could put in Apple, and there's a dentist in my neighborhood called Apple Dentistry. Maybe I'm looking for a dentist.
So you would interstitially add those sort of outliers into it, right? To again, back to Hummingbird, to get that. Okay, well, this is probably what they mean, but they might mean this. So you'll get one or two of those in the result. You know what I mean? Which a lot of people, Steve, would be like, oh, that's a shitty result. No, it's Google trying to cover all the bases and add further vectors just in case. And then once again, like he was talking about, you use your implicit user feedback or your click-through data and all that kind of shit to see if it's working. If it's not, then you tweak the algorithms. You know what I mean?
So do you think rank brain is looking for those intent vectors, Steve?
No, I doubt it. Again,
I think we have to look at the fact of what a universal search result is. Like he said, baby diapers versus payday loans.
Yeah,
you're going to have a different search result. If you look at search results in the state of Michigan versus search results in Texas, they're going to be completely different.
Right. So that's Steve Bonin. That comes back to personalization. That comes back to search tasks. What were they searching before they searched that? Right. So that's going to have a little difference. Like you put the word hockey into Google right now, and I put the word hockey, we're going to get different results because it's a very generalized search term. Rank brain wouldn't even mess with that. Like I don't, maybe somewhere down the line, but at this point I don't see it. It's more about those tricky ones, what they're not sure about. Sorry, go ahead, Paisley.
Okay, I'm going to follow your point. Like right now, can you guys see my screen of what my search result is?
Yep.
Okay, so I have Dallas Stars alert because I used to have season tickets, so I have that focused on my Gmail account. So when I put in hockey, it's going to show me the games, right? It's going to show that, and so it's going to pull up the rest.
All right, so here's mine. Hold on a sec. I'll give you mine.
And I haven't done hockey.
So you've got scores and shit there, right?
Yeah, but you're logged in.
All right. So here's mine. This is mine for hockey.
Yeah, we got hockey on this show.
Totally different fucking results, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's more personalization and search tasks and stuff, Mr. Bonin. So, but yeah, that's not going to be a rank brain kind of thing. That's not like really where it's going to happen.
Well, plus you're also in Canada. I'm in Texas.
Well, that's what it does. Like I've done this with people, and it'll show your local teams. It'll show, like if you scroll down, it'll show the Maple Leafs for me. It'll show the Stars for you, et cetera, right? So, yeah, we played this test a million times. So,
okay, but yeah, they're different completely.
That becomes more personalization and geolocation, Bonin. So,
if you search in Google.com or Google.ca.
.com, because all my clients are over there. So I've got it set on default for com. So.
Hey, Dave, do you see the question in that query? How many quarters in a hockey game?
Okay, so if I do a same search in Google.ca, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, because it's still going to geolocate you, even doesn't matter which one you're using. It won't make a difference.
And it still personalizes to you because you're signed in.
Yeah.
You're right here.
Yeah, that's a lot of heavy personalization. If I go to Google and put N, that's all I have to put. It
HL comes up.
Brings up NHL standing.
Yeah.
That's definitely search history driven.
Because I go there every morning and check.
I want to go out after this. Yeah. But again, that's still not going to be a rank brain thing, Mr. Bonin. That is really just more of a personalization and yeah. You know, I mean, it's like you want to have some fun with like even a search task. You know what I mean? You can put in hotels, Florida, and then go put in golf courses on your next search. Odds are you're going to probably get some golf courses in Florida. You know what I mean? Because it's going to look at your search tasks. So again, there's different.
I've been doing that for 10 years. Like that was one of the, because you used to be able to do it with like searching in Spain and then search for hotels.
Right.
First thing that would pop up would be hotels in Spain.
Right, and that's a search task, which is another form of it. That SEO is.
You're dying, Dave.
3 people talking about hockey, and Dave goes poof.
Beetlejuice.
Hey, Plunkett's in my office now. How the hell did that happen?
Okay, so I think Miami hotels and Miami hotels with golf courses, they show a little bit different stuff. But that's only if the golf course has rooms available.
Oh, neat. That's interesting.
So any of them that are no vacancy are not showing up, you mean?
Well, I mean, here's basically what it is they've got, it's a golf course, but what's the type? The type is there's got a review, there's a thing. It's a place. This is weird because this is like Google My Business for golf courses.
Yeah, that's an ad, isn't it?
Book a room. Well, here's the thing. The Fisher Island Club.
That's definitely an ad.
Apparently my internet provider can't handle a snowstorm. I just lost internet twice in the last 10 minutes.
Okay, so hey Dave, check it out. This is so when I search for Miami hotels with golf clubs, one golf club has actual accommodations enabled where people can book a room through Google. They also have nearby stuff that they've actually added. Okay. Whereas another one, the Biltmore Golf Course, hasn't added crap. This is a default listing. See the difference?
Yep. So yeah, now if you do a couple more location searches and then just put the word hotel in, you should be able to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We got a hotel here, Miami Airport.
Okay, so those bookings aren't through Google. So all those bookings are via OTAs, which the user pays a commission. If the hotel actually wants their own property to be appearing, you can do it through a Google partner, or you could integrate your reservation system via API, but you still don't get it for free. You then, once it's approved, then you get access to Google Hotels, which is an AdWords interface where you book based on a commission per room that you're willing to pay. So none of that's free. That's all OTA.
Right. So all this stuff here, the amenities, right?
Yeah.
Within the system he's talking about, you have to fill all that crap out at some point.
Okay, so the amenities are pulled via third parties. In a GMB listing, you have what we call attributes which you can select, but the amenities are pulled via third party. We think it's pulled via booking.com.
Okay. Interesting. So that's what I would want to figure out is the schema of a hotel listing if I was working in hotels. But I'm not working in hotels. So Dave, you're back.
So the only thing
I am currently working in hotels, so if you guys need a good massage or something. Oh, sorry, different show. Sorry.
You book rooms by the hour, Dave.
Yeah, well, if you
He's
can afford
Canadian,
it,
that'd
if
be
you
a
can afford
15-minute
it.
increment.
I'm sorry, Tim. Go ahead. I just, it's how we operate around here.
Yeah, you fuckers never change. Yeah, listen. Hotels have literally can literally do shit with their GMB. Absolutely nothing. The only thing that a hotel can do with their GMB listing is their name, the address. They can move their pin marker and their photos. They get access to nothing else.
Everything else is third party, right?
Everything is third party.
There's your category pull right here, dude.
They can't do questions and answers or posts?
They can do questions and answers because that's not via GMB. Question and answers is an interface via Maps.
Oh, okay. Can they do posts?
Nope. No posts, no events, no offers.
Right.
They can't even edit their description.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, so once again, we've wandered completely off of the topic, but that's good. That's how we roll. Yeah,
No, we're in local.
start
You
with the brain,
froze, we
we
went
end up on
local.
fucking hotels.
Well, you're always interested in local stuff, Dave.
You froze. we
Fucking
went
love it.
local.
I rule the local world, so yeah, I'm all ears here. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go smoke a joint. Legal here in Canada. Legal in Canada.
They
Don't
said
need it.
don't do anything different.
Things, yeah.
Thing reading.
Tammy, totally off topic, but your hair looks great, girl.
I know.
Oh my God! When did you do the hair, honey?
That's
Oh
all
my
we can
God,
see,
look
though,
at
is the side of your head.
Well, she always just hides. She's
There
always
you go.
hiding.
I
Anyway,
just-
sorry.
I saw you guys and I was like, where are the boobs? Why are there no smart
No
brilliant
boobs. No
That's here.
boobs.
You
Yeah.
don't see-
I
you don't see right there.
Why it's a sausage fest here, and there's no boobs, Tanya.
I know, but you were saying such smart things, and I
Well,
had so many-
Tanya will show you the boobs if you want. Like,
I'm not showing you my boobs. I already heard about the hotel thing.
On a private chat, Henry.
No, you guys
Good.
were saying really smart things, and boo LSI.
We're all about the LSI, right? Yeah.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
So how you been, Tim?
Yeah, all good. Busy, man. It's been a busy year. Just got back from the States last week for the Google's Product Summit, Product Expert Summit, which was all right.
Did you hit Brighton?
Yeah, I did Brighton SEO in November, but to be honest, these conferences seem to be just rehashing the same shit day in.
I think it's been that way for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I know.
Probably five or more years.
That's not you.
So much.
But I also think once you get to a certain level, like there's how much new can you really find in these things?
Yeah,
Like,
and nobody's.
all love to the people that do them. Like I know my bro Bill's out in Milan right now, but how much new is there once you get to a certain level? I still appreciate them for what they are.
You can't really, as a if you're a practitioner, you're not going to be giving away you're going to be giving some ideas, but you're not going to be giving away anything.
Dude, I've been writing since 2006, and I dare you to go find me write about anything that I actually do. I always joke with Bill. That's why I write about patents and stuff, because I'm not telling my competition what I do. Hello, not happening.
Not worried about that.
Well, yeah, because we know you're very unique in your approach to everything. So
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Kev.
No, I was just going to say it depends on if you're going to the show to learn or if you're going to the show to meet potential clients. Like, I don't go to the shows to learn anymore. I go to the shows to meet new people.
Yeah, to be honest, that would be the only reason I would ever do one, is to actually look for more work.
And Ungagged, I just got back from Ungagged, and that was really good. But
I go for the pre-parties that they throw, and that's about it.
No, the after
networking and the
I throw free parties every Friday. You just got to drop by here and bring your own drinks with you.
Yeah, which way I hang left and go.
Bring your own snow shovel.
Bring your own internet connection.
Yes.
All right. So, Tim, as we were doing this earlier, so okay, so Barry's off with his latest scary fucking algorithm update or whatever. Did you see any movements across the things you monitored? Or have you seen anything recently other than the usual? The only thing we really came up with, at least I came up with, is that it's that time of year. You've got, the Black Friday, you've got Christmas, and so I think query classification engines have been tweaked a bit as far as like Hummingbird and crap. That I think things are just moving up because they're transactional, and that just tends to be the way every year at this time. I don't think that there's anything more than that, but that's just me.
Well, for me in the local space, they've really been tightening up actual locations, especially in the hotel side of things. It's more and more difficult now to actually appear for a whole region, like hotel inn, rather than the actual freaking place you're in. They're really tightening that up. That's what I've noticed.
Is it aggregators, Tim?
All right, boys, I hate to interrupt, but due to my house almost burning to the ground on electrical issues, the actual hydro company is here now because my electrician called them, and they're about to shut my power off. So y'all have fun, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Later. I'm powering down. Bye. I love you all.
That's the best excuse I've ever heard. Right there.
I might make it back. I might not.
If you had a fireman walking behind you there, it'd be more believable.
It's actually after 2 anyway, so Terry, Doc, one of you guys can manage it from here. See you later, folks.
Bye, Dave.
That was brilliant right there.
It would have been more believable if it had been a firefighter walking behind him.
I would have liked to see some proof. Yeah, but the dog's barking. That was
at least some smoke. I mean, put a little effort into it.
So, Tim, did you read that article about the new things on service area businesses and Google My Business?
Yeah, so that's still rolling out. I think they're on a 10% rollout at the minute. They started it last Thursday. So that's going to be quite interesting. Their whole take on it is service area businesses have always been seen as kind of like second-class citizens in the whole eco, and they want to try and enable them to be able to stand on their, as on par with a location, a physical location. So the whole idea here is, at the minute, they're literally removing, the way they're having to achieve it is they actually removing the address out of the dashboard. It kind of remains hidden in the background, obviously, once you enter your address. But then it remains in the background and it's not visible. But so not being visible in the dashboard removes, you probably remember that, well, they're still there. It's only 10% at the minute. But remember, if you were like, let's say I was in Knightsbridge, London, it would remove my physical road address, street address, and then just say Knightsbridge, London. So that's going to be removed. And then what they're allowing you to do is there's no more radius. You literally can select the areas you serve, whether that be just a town, a village, a city, a state, multiple states. You can literally select the entire country if you service the entire country.
It defaults the country if you put nothing in it.
Yes. Yeah. So what you're going to see is going to happen is, bear in mind that over 70% of GMB listings are not freaking claimed. You're just going to see a shed load of SABs out there that aren't claimed when this is completely rolled out, just literally serving the whole country. If they can't identify an actual area that the original business served, so it's going to happen one or two things. If they can't identify, let's say the guy, so let's say he was in a particular city, but that was, it's not close to sort of other cities, it's quite a defined area, then it will just select that city. But if he's near quite a few cities or well-known, I mean, I don't know the states, unfortunately. So if he's so I'll give it London, for example. If the guy's in Knightsbridge, and because, you know, London is a massive city and there are so many tight areas. I mean, literally you could go from 1 mile and you're in another part of the city. It will then just select Greater London, a massive radius. But if you're in, but 9 times out of 10, if they can't detect anything, it'll just select the entire country for you by default.
Yeah, I think in the States it does it by metro. Tim, is what you were going for, like your metro area, your metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Your city is what it does it.
Yeah.
We've seen it with some clients. I mean, it doesn't affect us because car dealers aren't service based. They're connected with the thing, with the location as well. But I do like that you can do it by zip code. So if you're doing business, then that's for us in the States more so than.
Yeah, you can literally take, you know, you can plot an entire service area via zip or just by using the name.
Are we thinking that if you take the time to plot your service area by zip code, that you're going to get as good a ranking in the local pack as someone who's physically got a physical address in that area?
That is what that's what they're intending. Let's just see how it plays out yet.
Yeah. I think that was a grain of salt.
It may, but it'll be an eventuality. Like it's going to take a significant amount of time for that to come to fruition.
Yeah, but just
go ahead.
Sorry, but just bear in mind that by doing this also, bear in mind that they are still heavily pushing LSAs. So they are like going to be expanding LSA out to as many industries as they possibly can.
What's LSA?
Local service ads. So
okay.
If you search like, I don't know, locksmiths, San Francisco or San Diego, you'll see it. You've got like a top banner, which is like, and then it's Google guaranteed. Then you have a local pack, and then you actually eventually get to the organic results. But the LSA is paid for. You know, you pay for that. You bid well.
Right.
The way you work on that is you give them a budget. So Google will say to you, and it varies from states. They will say, let's say in San Francisco, a locksmith, you're going to be, you know, your lead, which is a phone call, is going to cost you $30, and then you can say, right. So you don't bid on the actual lead cost. You bid on how many leads you would like in a day. So they will say lead cost in San Francisco for a plumber is $30, and then you can say, right, well, I want 5 in a day. That's how that works. The LSA, the bidding works. And they did say last week when we were at Googleplex that they're going to be aggressively pushing this out in the States. And the next
you sign up for that through your GMB account?
No, it's separate. So basically, when it rolls out in your area, they do try and onboard you. So when it's rolling out in the area, you will be reached. They will reach out to you. but you can get a free one. You can get a free listing without saying Google guaranteed. To get a free listing, they do a company check, and then they do a background check on the owner. If you want to be Google guaranteed, Pinkerton's does an entire background check on every single staff member.
Okay, maybe I'm not understanding something.
So it goes through advanced verification. If you want the Google guaranteed logo, they literally check everyone.
I don't think I've ever seen a Google guaranteed logo. So this is in
neither have I.
This is in the top of the local pack, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no. So search locksmiths. Let's say San Diego. Where the fuck are those gone? No, they're not. Hang on, because I'm not in the freaking. I've got to change mine.
See, I'm not getting any because I'm not anywhere near San Diego.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'll go Toronto.
oh, they're rolling out Canada. That's what they're going to be pushing on next.
Okay, Tim, I'm already seeing ads in
Yeah.
one of the industries that I've been buying AdWords in for about 3 weeks.
So this is hang on. Can you see it? It'll say like 30+ locksmiths, and it'll say sponsored, and it's on the top, and it says Google guaranteed. Can you see it?
No, that's,
okay, hang on.
that's not what's coming in. That's not what we see in Canada.
So
It's
yeah,
like
no, Canada, they haven't rolled out yet. They are starting to onboard.
But they're still putting ads in the pack. That's my point.
Oh yeah, no, that's different.
Beside it, so there's no arguing that.
No, this is what it's going to look like here.
Mm.
Right,
Okay, that's different.
and then you can click on more, right? And these are Google guaranteed up to $2,000.
Okay.
What do you mean Google guaranteed up to $2,000?
If the service business fucks something up and doesn't,
I've got it. I've got it. It's really weird though. It doesn't show up in the map. It shows up in the search.
No, it's completely separate. It's because it's paid for. It's shown as an ad.
Yeah. Here. How do I?
Oh, holy shit.
How do I share my screen?
That's a big deal. I don't
It's
know.
it's been running for about a year now.
I don't do local.
Are you sharing your screen, Kevin?
No, hang on a second.
Well, yeah, I'm sharing my screen. If you
Yeah,
just
I saw yours, Tim.
yeah.
That work? No. Yes. There it is. Can you see that?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah. So that's above the AdWords ads.
That it will be above the AdWords. Then you got AdWords. Then you have the local pack.
Yeah. It's also weird that it doesn't show up in here.
No, because that is the local pack. These are completely separate. If you want to appear in the local pack, then you use AdWords Express.
Oh, I see.
They're two separate platforms, completely separate platforms.
So these you have to be guaranteed by Google?
Yeah, well, you have to undergo the advanced verification, which is company checks, business checks, and every single employee criminal record checks.
And what does it cost?
Google, it doesn't cost the user anything, the business anything. Google says it costs
the business to get that information for Google. It's not.
No. Pinkerton's does that on behalf of Google. And Google, when we asked them how much they actually get charged, they get charged roughly that. Well, they said they get charged about $100 per business to do the advanced verification.
I'm putting in the chat. Here's the Google blurb on Google Guarantee, what it covers. It's the same in Canada, $2,000.
They're rolling it out. They're rolling it. That's their next target market is Canada. They were trying to launch they were trying to onboard the UK for the last year. And at the summit, I said to them, what's the problem? Why haven't you launched a test yet? And they literally said, no, we're shelving that for the minute. And I said, And I said, I could have saved you time because Brits don't pay for leads. We literally don't pay for fucking leads. I was like, I could have saved you the time and effort trying to onboard businesses.
So basically, it's a cost per lead, a cost per click.
Yes, and yeah, I mean, you can refute it because these calls are actually recorded. So, for example, at the end of the month, it's completely recorded. End of the month, you can then say, no, this lead that came through to me was bullshit. They'll listen to the call and go, yeah, you're right. It was just some idiot phoning up or whatever.
Do you think that's scalable for them?
That's worth it.
Like,
we're doing AdWords now, and it's like, I just shake my head at the conversion. And I would take a deal like that and pay a lot more.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it depending on what city it's in and what the competition's like and things like that, it starts, there's variations. So it's typically from about $10 up to the max $30.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So depending on what city you're in.
I'm in, the clicks are over 20.
So if you're in New York, a locksmith in New York will pay at the minute is paying $22 per call.
Oh, that's about it.
But he's probably got at least a 50% close rate. If somebody calls you, they're going to say, okay, come on out if you need a locksmith.
Yeah.
And we found half the phone calls that we got were actually trying to get Canada Post. We would have got our money back, right, Tim, on that deal?
Yeah. They return they actually record the whole entire call because it goes through a Google. They give you a call forwarding,
and getting that call would be worth the money as well.
Yeah,
then you can look and see what the people on the other end of the line did to blow the lead.
And it's in your dashboard. It's in the dashboard. It's in your LSA dashboard, which is like an AdWords kind of dashboard. And you can actually say, no, this wasn't, and you send it back, and then they listen to the call and go, yeah, you're right. That's not right. Interestingly, they said that literally no one has actually claimed on the Google guarantee yet. That's literally because the user obviously has tried to rectify it before a complaint was sent through. So it's quite clever. Although it's Google guaranteed, Google ain't going to pay out, because the user typically wants to get it sorted with the customer, rather than be reported, or at least the customer trying to claim via Google.
Ooh, the interesting thing is if you click more from that listing, it'll give you an entire different local services portal. So it lists and it puts all the Google guarantee.
Yeah. And they're expanding this out. So, for example, what you can also do in the LSA, like in the dashboard, you can turn it on and off at any particular point. At which point, obviously, the guarantee comes off, and then you drop back down into the free section. If you're looking, you scroll down, you get the Google guarantees, then you get the free section, and then they're expanding it out on really, really expanding it out on services. So, for example, a locksmith can say, you know what, I'm like they could think to themselves, right, well, home locks isn't where my profit is. It's auto locks is where my profit is. And I'm not getting enough calls on that. And in your actual AdWords section, you can specifically say, I only want calls on auto calls now.
Oh, nice. Because I'll share my screen again because I was in that
So they're doing locksmiths, HVAC.
Like I came in here, and then you can switch. You can search.
Yeah.
By type of locksmith, and it'll resort it. And of course now it's not working. Yeah, there we go. And then it gives all the guaranteed, and then it splits it off.
Yeah, that's the free. Yeah, those free ones have either just had the company and the owner verified to appear in the free ones because you don't have the Google guarantee, or at the minute they've paused their ads.
Yeah, and they also don't have the business bio and all the other attached to it.
So those telephone numbers are Google generated telephone numbers.
Correct.
So if somebody's on a desktop and they just call that number,
that's registered coming from that,
and so then Google
tracks it and records it
and charges you back. What happens if the customer calls tomorrow from their phone memory?
I believe it's tracked, and then obviously it's a secondary call. It's not charged for that secondary one.
Do they know that because of the user ID or something? Or
I'm not entirely sure how they do it.
If Google's got access to the recordings, it's got to be through Google somehow.
Right.
Is that right, Tim, or am I wrong in that assumption?
Sorry?
That Google has recordings because the phone numbers are theirs. It's going through theirs.
It must be. It must be. I don't know. Or they've done a deal with someone where it goes through them.
Or it could be a third party that...
whichever, but they are definitely recorded. I mean, I don't have access to, obviously, because
they... don't pay for that service?
No. It's all within, it's all within your
if
settings.
you got a couple minutes, we're going to be closing down, right, Doc? You got to go, and I want. But after, Tim, if you got a couple minutes, I have a couple more questions for you that I don't want to talk about publicly.
Yeah, I got to take it off air here because I have a client call I got to jump on, but you guys can continue in the green room.
Yeah, I'm not savvy enough to turn this prick on.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoyed seeing y'all. Appreciate your participating.
Great chat today, guys.
Cool.